The internet was already chaotic in a post-apocalyptic way. Between power outages, censored news, AI-generated videos of miracles, and endless doom scrolls, most people were emotionally numb. But this was something else. Elara's sketch had gone viral overnight, yes. But it wasn't just the views. It was the energy around it. Something bigger was moving, deeper, as if the drawing carried an encrypted message meant to awaken the soul. And it had. The moment people started tagging Kai Mizunari in the comments, the algorithm caught fire. Not because he reposted it, he hadn't. Or because he acknowledged it, not yet. But because the resemblance was uncanny, and because she claimed she didn't even know who he was.
Bro, is this not Kai Mizunari?
How can she not know him? This is too specific.
Is this some genius PR stunt, or is this witchcraft?
Lol, she's lying.
It spread across Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, TikTok. Spiritual influencers started stitching the sketch with twin flame prophecies. Scientists side-eyed the timing of electromagnetic anomalies with the timestamp of Elara's post. Teenagers made edits of the two of them to love songs, layered over videos of fire, collapse, rebirth. People whispered about ley lines and collective karma, and threads emerged linking celestial alignments with the exact minute Elara posted the image. Online forums lit up with theories. Some claimed Elara was a psychic. Others said the image had activated something in their own bodies. Tingling in the palms, tears for no reason, vivid dreams of someone they hadn't met. One user from Istanbul wrote,
I haven't dreamed in years. Last night, I dreamed of a temple burning, and they were inside, kissing like gods.
And then, Kai commented, late at night in Tokyo, he stared at the sketch again. His assistant had called twice. He ignored it. He zoomed in on the lines, the shading, the depth of sadness in his own sketched eyes. There was no logical explanation. How could this woman, this stranger, have captured the weight he carried in his soul? He felt naked, seen, and worse, known. He didn't think. He just typed,
You've got my good side. Should I be flattered or concerned?
Within minutes, the post exploded. 3 million likes, 400,000 shares. The hashtags mutated. Hashtag twin flame alert. Hashtag end of the world romance. Hashtag Kai and Elara. Hashtag mirror souls. Hashtag last love on earth. A global audience formed, watching with bated breath, as if the two of them were characters in a divine slow burn rom-com playing out in real time. It wasn't that people understood exactly what was happening. It was that they felt it. Somewhere deep in the collective unconscious, something ancient stirred. Humanity didn't need the whole story to sense the significance. The story resonated on a frequency too deep for words, like music remembered from another life. These two souls were meant to find each other. And the world, famine-ridden, riot-scarred, trembling on the brink, needed their union like oxygen. In a time where nothing felt real and everything felt doomed, this romance felt like a crack of light. Elara woke late, heavy with the weight of everything she now knew. Sleep had been shallow, tangled in dreams that blurred too easily with memory. After sketching him, she'd spiraled into a digital rabbit hole, watching his films, his interviews spoken in perfect English. Every clipped gesture and glance. Even when the language shifted to something unfamiliar, it didn't matter. She wasn't listening for words. She was watching his soul move beneath the surface. Quiet, wounded, luminous. He wore his emotions like both confession and shield, and she couldn't look away. She was transfixed, shameless. She even stalked his Wikipedia page. Age, 25. And he was a Scorpio. Somehow, no surprise there. She blinked, gasped. 10 years younger? That was insane. She tossed her phone aside, then picked it right back up. Her mind, unwilling to behave, wandered places it shouldn't. 10 years younger meant stamina, curiosity. God, what would he be like in bed? The thought slid through her like heat. She cursed herself, but didn't stop imagining. She had always been a rational woman, but now, rationality was melting by the second. By 3 a.m., she'd memorized the low timbre of his voice, the way he smiled like it cost him something. Her phone had buzzed so much overnight that it died while she slept. When she finally plugged it in and opened her socials, the screen lit up and she nearly screamed. Thousands of messages. People tagging her in every language. Dozens of voice memos from people crying, praying, laughing. Hundreds of new followers every minute. Artists were painting them. Poets wrote couplets about them. Conspiracy theorists swore they were reincarnated deities. And there, at the top of the comments, Kai Mizunari, verified. That cheeky, devastating comment. She read it once. Twice. She forgot how to breathe. He saw it. He saw her. She grabbed the phone with trembling fingers, rereading it as though it might change. She dropped it. It clattered to the floor. Her hands shook as she picked it back up. Her heart was thudding so loud she thought it might burst. A ringing filled her ears. Her whole body buzzed with electricity.
Breathe.
She whispered to herself, but her lungs refused to cooperate. She opened his now suddenly public profile, as if taunting her, as if he wanted her to thirst for him and stalk his flashy photos even more. There he was, photo after photo. Kai in moody black and white editorials. Kai on red carpets. Kai in casual shots with silver rings on his fingers, sunglasses perched on his head above thick, sculpted brows, and those multiple cartilage piercings glinting against his inky black hair. Then another photo that stopped her heart cold. Him in all black again, gaze sharp, staring into the lens like he knew, like he was looking at her. In fact, the timestamp showed that it was recent, taken just that morning. Her stomach flipped, her knees weakened, her thighs clenched with an ache that startled her. An ancient, primal desire surged through her, so fierce it brought tears to her eyes. And it made her excited.
This is insane.
She whispered. But the truth nestled deep in her belly said otherwise. She stared at him, at those impossibly symmetrical cheekbones, the full lips, the softness behind the edge. This man was magnetic, yes, but he was hers. She didn't know how she knew. She just did. Her fingers hovered over the screen, unable to stop scrolling. She zoomed in on one image. His eyes, they were wild galaxies, old, familiar, married to her in 1,000 forgotten timelines. At that same moment in Tokyo, Kai sat cross-legged in his living room, jazz spinning low from the record player. He sipped tea absently, scrolling Elara's profile for the 100th time. She didn't post many pictures of herself, but the few she did, each one hit him like a bullet. Bronze skin, dark curls pulled messily into a bun, ink-smudged fingers, soft lips, a tiny gold hoop through her nose. She was chaos and quiet, fire and water, rage and tenderness. In one photo, she was laughing, eyes half closed, a smear of cobalt paint on her cheek. He felt his blood rush low, again pooling in places that made him shift in his seat. Then he found another, a mirror selfie, dimly lit. Maybe a night out, maybe not. She wore a dark, form-fitting dress that clung to every feminine curve like silk on flame. The neckline hinted at softness, the slit at her thigh, a quiet dare. Her tattoos peeked from the sleeves, her dark eyeliner smudged in a way that wasn't accidental. A thick chain around her neck, a shadow of something feral in her gaze. He could tell that she was small. Tiny, really. Petite in a way that made something primal rise in him. Like he could lift her, hold her, maybe even control her if she let him. The thought burned hot and fast, catching him off guard. It wasn't just desire, it was instinct, as if some ancient part of him had already claimed her. There was an edge to her, like she belonged in a punk club at midnight, or behind a velvet curtain, painting visions of gods and hellscapes. She wasn't just beautiful, she was dangerous. And Kai was already lost. He went to her official portfolio site, buried deep in the archive of an old gallery exhibit. The page was simple, a black background, white text, and her name in bold serif. He scrolled slowly, absorbing every detail. Her art stunned him. She worked in everything. Oil, charcoal, ink, digital. One piece would be a hyper-realistic portrait. The next, a dreamlike vision layered in gold leaf and shadow. Her fingers knew ancient myths and modern ghosts. She could do it all, and not just technically, emotionally. Each piece felt like it had been conjured, not made. His chest tightened. Then he saw it, in the bio section, beneath a weathered headshot, and a quote from Frida Kahlo, age 35. Taurus, he blinked, ran the math again. 10 years older. She didn't look it. She didn't move like it. Hell, she could have passed for someone even younger than him. But that number hit him in the gut, and not in a bad way. Not that he was looking for some kind of mother figure. His own mother had been gone for years, and he didn't want to fill that void with projection. But still, something about her age, her gravity, her sensual stillness. It made him crave her. Not just physically, though his mind definitely went there. Immediately, shamefully. He imagined what it might be like, how confident she'd be, how unafraid, mature. He'd always been attracted to that in a woman. He thought about how she might take control and unravel him completely. His ears went hot. He shut the laptop for a second and exhaled through his nose.
Jesus.
He muttered, then opened it again. He couldn't look away. He'd never felt this way. Not even close. This wasn't a crush. This was hunger. Soul deep. Bone carving, as if he'd found the other half of his name. The more Kai scrolled, the tighter his chest became. Her account, once quiet, had exploded. Her older posts, dreamy, surrealist canvases layered with mythic imagery, had only a few dozen likes, a handful of supportive comments in Spanish. Now, hundreds of thousands of new followers, viral reposts. Her recent post was gaining traction by the second, comments flooding in from every continent, people praising her beauty, her art, her mystery. Some were kind. Too many were not. He felt it suddenly. Sharp, possessive, the need to protect her. He didn't know her, not really, but watching the internet devour her felt like witnessing a lamb being placed on an altar. And yet, she wasn't fragile. No, there was strength in her softness. But still, this world didn't care who you were. Not until it wanted something from you. His jaw clenched. A quiet thunders built in his ribcage. And that's when the door opened.
Kai?
Toma stepped in, pausing mid-stride as he took in the scene. Kai, shirtless, glowing screen in hand, tension rippling off him like heat waves. Kai jumped slightly, clearly flustered, dragging a nearby blanket across his lap.
Toma, you knock, man.
Toma paused in the doorway, eyes widening slightly. He gave Kai a look, half apology, half amusement, and held up his hands in surrender, saying nothing. Kai looked away, clearing his throat. His voice came rough.
It's nothing.
Oh, it's definitely something.
Toma said, walking closer and catching a glimpse at the phone. There it was. The sketch. The girl. The post. Toma's eyebrows lifted with amusement, then something softer. He tilted his head, studying Kai for a bit. He was 8 years older than Kai, practically an older brother. He'd always hoped his young, restless companion would one day settle down, grow roots, maybe somewhere green, with fruit trees and music. Toma himself had grown up in Osaka, the only child of a violinist and a shrine keeper. As a boy, he used to sneak into the temple after hours and sit among the incense and shadows, staring at the paper lanterns and pretending they were souls. He believed in invisible things. Still did. At 19, he dropped out of university to travel, washing dishes in Kyoto, doing stagehand work in LA, translating for a low-budget film crews. He met Kai in Tokyo during an internship at a media agency. Kai had just turned 17, already famous, already burning out. Toma saw something in him, not just talent, but tenderness, a loneliness that needed protecting. So he stayed, first as an assistant, then as a handler, then as the closest thing Kai had to a brother. He would have taken a bullet for him.
You're glowing.
He said gently.
Like, weirdly. Like maybe you finally cracked your reincarnation timeline or something.
Kai let out a laugh, but it came out shaky.
I don't know what's happening, Toma. I saw her and I couldn't breathe.
Toma narrowed his eyes, arms folded across his chest. There was concern now, softening the sharpness of his usually sarcastic expression.
I still can't believe she didn't know who you were. You really think she's telling the truth?
Kai paused, the question hitting a nerve he'd already been turning over in his mind all night. Was it possible this was all some elaborate stunt? A calculated move to go viral, especially after the way she exploded online? But then he shook his head, slowly.
No, I don't think so.
Because something in his gut said otherwise. Not just instinct, something deeper. Like the dreams that had haunted him his whole life were finally aligning into shape. Like she was the shape.
This doesn't feel like a hoax. It feels pure, real, bigger.
Toma arched a brow.
Well, whatever it is, it's blowing up. You know that, right? You and her? It's everywhere now.
Kai nodded, eyes still fixed on the soft glow of the screen. Her art, her face, the fragments of her digital presence.
She didn't ask for any of this.
He said quietly.
The rest of her page was almost empty, like she was hiding, like she'd been waiting for something.
He didn't say it aloud, but in his chest, a knowing echoed back. So had he. Toma stepped closer, his voice gentler now.
She's out there alone with all eyes on her. That can be overwhelming.
Kai finally looked up, something vulnerable flickering in his expression.
If I were you, I'd be making sure she's all right.
Kai blinked.
What do you mean?
Toma gave him a look.
I mean, book a flight.
What?
His heart nearly jumped out of his chest.
I can't just fly across the world and show up uninvited.
You've got that thing in Madrid.
Toma interrupted, pulling out his tablet, smartly looking at the dates.
The location scouting job you've been avoiding? It's there if you want the excuse.
Kai blinked. Toma gave a faint smile. No teasing this time, just quiet encouragement.
Feels like something bigger's at play here. Maybe this is your sign.
Kai let out a shaky laugh, the weight of decision pressing on his chest.
She's not my...
But the words didn't come. He looked down at the photo again. Those eyes, that presence.
She's something else.
Then go.
Toma said, resting a firm, reassuring hand on Kai's shoulder.
Find out what she means to you. Hell. It's the end of the world anyway. What else is worth chasing?
Kai hesitated, his pulse thunderous in his ears. Then, against logic, against caution, he heard himself speak, low and certain.
Yeah, book the flight.
Toma studied him for a beat, then gave a quiet nod.
Got it.
As the door clicked shut behind his friend, Kai sat there, wide-eyed, stunned into stillness. The screen beside him dimmed to black, but the echo of his own words still rang loud in the room. What the hell just happened? He hadn't even tried to stop it. The decision had risen up from somewhere deeper than thought, spoken through him, not by him, like he'd been claimed by something ancient, urgent, and unstoppable. He hadn't agreed because he believed in fate. He'd agreed because something inside him refused to do anything else.